Welcome to the third-party news for Retro Robot Radio for the date of August 16th, 2014. Alright, the first figure we're going to look at today is BadCube's Brawny, who we have a nice new picture of it in alternate mode, and it's looking really nice in the colors. Honestly, I like this figure, and if you're looking for a deluxe Brawn, whether you're looking for a Masterpiece or for just a really good big classics figure that's vehicle mode in scale, this looks like a fine figure. Also, we have a new image of the back of the figure showing it's not hollow and it doesn't have a lot of kibble. And I like it. They hide the wheels real nicely inside the legs. And it's definitely not a Hasbro figure, which would be completely empty in the back with full of holes. Bold Forms has shown off a new robot mode image of its Gladius figure. This figure is a triple changing large classics figure of Megatron. It can turn into a tank or a handgun. Here's what the tank's concept image looks like. You see it's sort of Cybertronian tank, and it's kind of the afterthought third mode, whereas the gun mode is extremely detailed and Earth-like gun with stock silencer and scope. DX9 has released its Splinter figure, their homage to Generation 1 Wreck-Gar, and on the packaging there are teasers for their upcoming figures. Looks like one is going to be the green and black repaint of Salmore as the repaint GoBot Psykill, and the other one appears to be the outline of their upcoming Crasher homage. GCreations has been showing off some detailed renders and prototypes of their combining Dinobot set. These figures are pretty big, at least Voyager to Ultra class size. As you can see, here is an outline of Swoop with details on the wings. And it does have a bit of a backpack there. I'm not sure what if that's a solid block on its back or if that's just going to be some weapons. So that would be the only possible complaint on it. It looks really nice. Here's the robot mode. Looks like that block on its back were the legs. Also has a little tail going there. Here is a possible prototype or maybe even a test shot of the Sludge figure's robot mode. As you can see, it has a bunch of weapons. Those weapons form the combiner mode foot. And here's the this looks more like a 3D printed version of that same figure without the weapons accessories. And here's a picture of the combine mode, clearly showing that in the combiner mode it is Voyager sized as a leg. And that's compact compared to how it is as a robot. So I'm thinking it's at least Voyager, maybe Ultra class, as a limb, which is pretty impressive for a combiner. And if there's any combiner that should be gigantic, it should probably be a Dinobot combiner. Headrobots shocked the world with its return. Actually, it showed up, and it has a couple of add-ons for a figure it's calling Green King. Green King is a variation of one they announced a long time ago called Black King. And it's add-ons for the BotCon Scorponok figure from the last BotCon show that adds a few bits and bobs. Unfortunately, it's only a small run. It's colored for the BotCon set, and it's only going to be a few of the pieces. I don't know if they're in financial difficulty or they're just busy, but they're going to be piecemealing it out. Maybe the fact that these are the pieces that need to be purple on the BotCon version is the reason why it's a separate set, and other parts will be not purple, just black or whatever, and fit with either Black King or Green King. So if you wanted to make your Mega Zarek or Scorponok figure, you could use this set and the generic set for Scorponok, and this set and a different set for Black Zarek. That's one way to save money, I guess. And here's the Black King custom that they released a long time ago. As you can see, new feet, new weapons, new hands, a spear, new head. Has a headmaster gimmick. You know what? That might be part of it too, is that the BotCon set doesn't need a new headmaster, so why should they sell one? Whereas this one, if you're doing a Black King, would need a new head. So I can see why there'd be different piecemeal sets, unlike most other Headrobots. Keith's Fantasy Club has shown off a bit of a teaser that the Haymaker and Overslay are going to be coming out soon, eventually. They were delayed a bit. I heard that the Overslay, their version of Overkill, had some QC issues, and they did not want to release it until everything was right. So, good for KFC for standing up for quality and deciding that they would rather wait and delay a figure for months than release something that had a problem again. KFC also has started to tease their next big figure, which is called Transistor. It's going to be part of their EAVI metal line, heavy metal, and is basically a masterpiece-sized version of Blaster. Funny thing is about Blaster is that the masterpiece-sized figure, which would be the same size as Masterpiece Soundwave, is exactly the same size as the Generation 1 Blaster. So feel free to throw this stuff into your Classics collection as well. I'm honestly hoping that we'll see repaints of this as either twin cast and as Shattered Glass Blaster, because the Shattered Glass Blaster, while one of my favorite figures, is horribly expensive and hard to get a hold of. And this figure would probably be better and at least the same price or cheaper. I don't know why they have 2 rifles in robot mode, but if they want to give us a freebie, that's fine. And some people complained it has a more toy-accurate head. I'm sure there'll either be head options with the figure or aftermarket head options for people who want to have a cartoon-accurate or a comic book-accurate head. I think this head is more accurate to the toy and maybe the IDW comics. A lot of people are saying Masterpiece should have TV series accurate heads. Well, that's fine. I'm sure you can get one. Other people are saying that, well, maybe Takara will make this eventually. Well, Takara is going to make Ultra Magnus eventually, too. But people still bought Citizen Stack because they're impatient. Mastermind Creations has shown off some renders of their Spartan figure, who is based on Generation 1's Impactor. The Spartan shares a mold with one of the other Decepticon figures that was announced at TFCon called Commodus. And as you can see here, he has the drill. There's also an option for harpoon hand in this robot mode. Here's the alternate mode, which is based on a video game called Metal Slug. I'm told that maybe Mastermind Creations is going to release this mold 3 different times. Once as Commodus, once as Spartan, and then once as an original figure. And you see it's pretty cool looking. It has a big cannon on the back that forms its shoulder, which is weird because the it looked like the Commodus version, his arm formed the cannon. So I don't know if that's what's weird about that, or maybe I'm just seeing it wrong. And a lot of people are saying online that this figure, well, it could be ages before it actually comes out. But the fact of the matter is that the Commodus figure, which is also based on the same mold, has been seen in prototype. So if this isn't if this needs to be a prototype, well, Commodus already is the prototype. So it's in prototype. Omnigonix has been showing off some of its prototypes, and they look sweet. It's their masterpiece-sized version of Sunstreaker. And as you can see here, it looks real good next to Masterpiece Sideswipe, who's his twin brother. Just has a different transformation, but it's hard to tell that they're that different in vehicle mode. So I assume they're going to have similar wheels eventually added to this and paint it yellow. And I'm hoping we see some repaints too. Why not have Police Sunstreaker or the Red Sunstreaker from Diaclone? Because you can't just replace the mold once. It's a rule. You have to have repaints. Repaints! This figure came out of Cyberfest this weekend. It's a little custom collectible they were selling as a convention exclusive, limited to 50 figures. His name was, now get this, Recykill. Yes, and he was the little mascot for Cyberfest this year. They were selling it for about $40 each. And initially it was just supposed to be a figure that was just for the people who were attending that convention in Seattle. But there has been a lot of talk online that people would love to see this mass-produced. It's about commander size, and is a great little recycling truck transformer. Some people were saying they'd love to see the retail version of this maybe come out in Junkion colors. Here's a little of the Cyberfest 2014 art print that you could have bought at the convention, which was already over by the time I'm broadcasting this. And here's a prototype picture. So, looks really neat. There was also a collectible card for it. Here's a little image of that. Now, this one came out from designer Cassy Sark over the week. He had originally shown this at Auto Assembly, where he told people that this figure was something that he had designed for a company, but then couldn't come to an agreement with them as to the finalization of the figure. So he decided to release it to the fans so they could see what it looks like. It's a ultra-sized Cybertronian version of Lugnut. And the fun thing is there were potential repaint remolds of this figure as Straxus, G-Axis, and as Blackout from the Transformers 2007 movie. So you can see he actually has Straxus's hand weapon in this picture. But so this is a potential figure if he ever does come to an agreement with some company to produce it. Toyworld has been showing off its final images of their Snarl figure. I don't think this has a name yet. It just has a number designation. As you can see, it has some nice gold chrome on the plates and the tail. Now, just a reminder, this figure does form the leg of a combiner that Toyworld is working on. We have not seen the full picture of the combiner mode, just the legs of it. And here's the alternate mode. Looks like he'll have a articulated mouth. Looks like there might be pivots on the forearms there. Yeah, looking very nice. A good G1 update. That chrome is real shiny. I wonder if on some of the other figures, a lot of people forget that some of the chrome on the Dinobots was silver and not gold. And I only see gold chrome on this one, and I wonder if they'll bother chroming the right parts gold and the right parts silver, or they'll just use gold everywhere. This is from Warbotron, their WB03 Computron Combiner. This is a Voyager-sized version of the Afterburner Combiner limb. There you can see it. It's a big Voyager-sized Tron motorcycle with big guns. So it looks like they're going to have. Is that going to end up being some light piping in the vehicle mode, or something that carries over to robot mode? I'm not sure. But this figure looks pretty darn good. It's a bit oversized for me. That's why I'm not interested in any of the Warbotron stuff. It's quite literally masterpiece size. But Afterburner is one of the few motorcycles that can pull off being a really big toy, because he's a Tron bike, and there could be a whole cockpit with people inside of that if they needed to. That's how I reason the whole scale thing, whereas a giant version of Groove would just look silly to me. And final story today is that X2 Toys showed off this little teaser image. This is the Generations Roadbuster figure, and they have it covered in a little homemade armor. Maybe a hint that they're working on a official armor for this figure. It'd be nice to see Roadbuster with a couple of add-ons. For this week's Spotlight, I'm going to be taking a look at a thread started on TFW 2005, where people discussed a topic that I also brought up on the show a few weeks ago, as for which toys they'd like to see upsized or downsized. Member Low Drill says, Warbotron's WB01, the individual toys look great, but they're too big for his taste, and he'd like to see them scaled similar to that of the Maki Toys combiners. Member Autobots Rollout says he'd like to see the Con Air Squadron from iGear as large deluxes as the or small Voyagers to fit into classics better. He'd like to see downsized Quake Wave for classics, a downsized iGear Ironhide for classics, a downsized Toyworld Orion to fit into classics, a masterpiece-sized version of Hegemon, masterpiece-sized version of Mania King with wrist swivels, downsized Citizen Stack to fit with classics, a bunch of masterpiece-sized versions of the Fans Project Insecticons, a classic-scaled version of Warbotron, and masterpiece-sized version of Mastermind Creations RC figure. Member Grim TNT says he'd like to see Fans Project Code done in masterpiece scale. Member Swad says Maki Toys Nova Prime only bigger, Maki Toys Fallen only bigger, Mania King slightly bigger. He'd also like to see a third-party Fall of Cybertron Shockwave done in Voyager and third-party Fall of Cybertron Seekers done in Voyager. Member Strange Planet says he would get a masterpiece-sized Mania King in a heartbeat. Member Max Rawhide says the Fans Project Headmasters are just too small. Fit them to the scale chart close to the size of Optimus Prime for a Classics collection. Member Crimson87 says he'd like to see the iGear Raptors slightly smaller to fit in with the Classics Raptors. The Mastermind Creations Predaking done with Classics Voyager for each limb. The KFC Ultra Magnus done where the whole figure is Ultra Class. The Fans Toys Dinobots in scale with Masterpiece Grimlock. The Maki Toys Nova Prime done in Classics Ultra Size. The Fans Project Bruticus and Menasor and Make Toys Computron done where the limbs are deluxe size with a Voyager size core. The Fans Toys Shockwave done as a Classics Voyager. Rob Witt says he'd like to see the Fans Project Headmasters done in Masterpiece scale. Webbs says he'd like to see the iGear Raptors done in Masterpiece size. And Rosewater says Voyager Quakewave and drops the mic. And a quick update on the YouTube channel since the last time I posted a show. Jim G states that I did a great job and it must be challenging to keep track of all the third-party companies and products. Also, Jurist Man posted that he just got the Daka Toys Masterpiece Skyfire figure, and it's a little loose but very show accurate. He also says that he'd gladly give up one of the Dinobot sets that are coming out for the canceled Overlord or Nova figures. He is also tells me that he's a third-party junkie, which makes sense because they really cater to the adult collectors, whereas Hasbro is more oriented towards the kids. Also, if you check out the YouTube channel, you'll see that I posted a transformation video on TFC Toys' Warning Line figure, their version of the Combiner Groove. And I posted my own review of the BMOG Toys Solar Bear and Celabris figure. This week's screen capture is of Star Poseidon from the Starvengers TV series, also known as Getter Poseidon from Getter Robo G. This week's news brought to you from the pages of tformers.com, and TFW 2005. News read by Matthew Ignash. Be sure to check out our YouTube page at Retro Robot Radio and leave a comment. And check out the third-party TF Crashers on Facebook.